welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a little bit of a different video to the last couple that I've done. There'll be no burnouts, wheelies, carnage, destroying stuff. We're actually going to do a little walkthrough breakdown of my van build. So I've had a few requests since I built this van just to do a run through, just do a walkthrough of how I've got it set up, what I've got, all my setup, everything like that. And I thought now is the perfect time to do it. I'm currently driving across Australia. My goal is to get to Perth and ride, go see some cool beaches, just, you know, enjoy life a little bit. And we're currently about 4 hours into WA, across the border about 4 hours ago. I'm literally at the start of the 90-mile straight. So we've come off the highway a little bit out here in the middle of nowhere. I'll get some shots. This place is pretty cool. I'm going to break it down into a few segments. So just going to talk about why I bought this specific van, and then why I've set it up the way I have, and how I've set it up, how it works for my bikes, how it works for camping and my trips and everything like that. So it's a 2023 Volkswagen Crafter. It's a medium wheelbase model. It's mid-roof. It's front-wheel drive, automatic. It's the 340 motor, so she's not the fast one. You load her up with two bikes in the back, plus all the ply, the batteries, the fridge, everything like that, and sometimes it'll struggle to get up a hill, but it will always get up the hill. It will just take a little bit longer maybe than some other cars, or the one with the faster motor. I went with the medium wheelbase just because this is my only car, and I like to be able to drive around. It fits in a car park. If you need a parallel park, it pretty much touches the line at either end, bumper to bumper. So not ideal if you have to do a reverse parallel park, because you're probably going to get stuck, but you can park it pretty much anywhere else. And if I had a long wheelbase model, it would be a lot harder to drive around town. I can still drive this in the city, everything like that. With my awning and my solar panel on there, I'm about 2.5 high, 2.5 meters, that is, not feet. So that pretty much rules me out of every underground car park in any city. And I can get through some drive-throughs, but that's not a major concern to me, because it does stop me from eating more fast food, because it's not as easy to get. So there's been times where I've had to walk in a KFC, but you got to do what you got to do in those situations. So another thing I wanted to touch on was I bought this van brand new in October 23, it must have been. I had an event in West Australia that I really wanted to get to, the Hardwired Hootenanny, the Harley competition we did. So I ordered this, took about 3 months to get here. I didn't have anything to choose from. I wanted a high roof, but this is all I could get. Took about 2-3 months to come in. I got it a week before I left, so I just did a basic fit out. And if you've watched my videos before, you would have seen I did like a little run through on my last trip to WA, but it's obviously changed a lot since then. But I decided to buy the van brand new, just because at the time the secondhand market was crazy. It was so expensive, which it's not now. It's come down a little bit in price. But brand new, it came with warranty, roadside assist, and I got a servicing package, servicing package was $2,000, and it covers all your first 100,000 Ks of services, which I don't know how many that is, maybe like 5 or something. And it works out good because servicing's about $700 each. So yeah, works out a heap better. Price wise, because a lot of people always ask about how much it costs to build or to buy one and then build one. The van with the servicing package was 70 grand, drive away, so registration, everything like that included. The fit out, everything to do with the fit out, like this, everything, it's just rough because I sort of lost count after a certain number, but this is like ply, screws, glue, fridge, batteries, solar, awning, wheels, literally everything. It owes me about 90 all up, I think. Probably over, but that's about where I'll stop it. I said, yeah, it's about 90 grand. So if you were looking to do one of these, if you're looking to do one of these and you want to buy one brand new, that's what you would be roughly looking at. If you got someone else to do the work for you, it's going to be a lot more. I recommend for everyone just to give it a go yourself, because if you got like a basic knowledge of tools and how to use measuring tape, stuff like that, it's kind of enjoyable doing it yourself. Like I love staining this thing out now just because I know that I built the whole thing, and if it falls apart, I got no one to blame but myself pretty much. So it's definitely, yeah, job satisfaction building it yourself, and yeah, it's a lot cheaper too. So, but anyway, let's open it up and we'll give you a bit of a look at what's inside, and we'll start going through the setup I did. start in the front. There's nothing too crazy in the front. It's a 3-seater bench seat. Middle folds down. Honestly, nothing too crazy going on in there. Sliding door. You can sort of start to see a bit more of what's going on. Just quickly, I've got my bed, sleep sideways, fridge, battery system, everything is underneath, and then you can see the wall at the back that encapsulates the bikes in the garage area. So we'll touch on that more soon. I'll open up the back now and we can have a look in there. All right, so we'll have a look in the back. Before I open it, just want to touch on the fact real quick that I'm actually traveling in this van at the moment. So my bike's in here, all my clothes, my food, everything. It's not the neatest. It's also not the cleanest on the outside, which I did wash it 2 days ago, but I went through a dust storm in South Australia yesterday, which was not ideal. So she's not the cleanest it's ever been. But as you can see, one Harley in there, does fit another Harley there. We've got some shelves, basic stuff like that, all my clothes on the ground. It's a little bit messy. But we'll dive into a bit more of the functionality, why I've built it the way that I have to fit bikes and to sleep in and everything like that now. So we'll get stuck into that. The way I've built this van fits 2 bikes in the back. The bikes actually have to go roll them in straight, and it's designed so that the wheels turn full lock into the corners, and that's the only way the back doors will shut. So I actually built the van, I put my bike in there, and then I got this wall just here while my bike was sitting in there, and I put that bit of ply up against my front tyre. Put that bit of ply there, drew a line and said, righto, that's my garage length. From that line to the back wall, that's as big as it's going to be, because I wanted maximum space for my bed, because it's obviously a medium wheelbase. There's not as much room as a long wheelbase. You see a lot of people, this area here will be like a lounge area, you know, they can walk back in there, then they've got their bed up above the bike, stuff like that. I don't have that luxury of that much space, so I wanted my bed area to be as big as I possibly could. So that's how I marked out the length for the bike. And then if you see here, it actually steps over the front tire a little bit, then comes back up, and I purely did that so that I could have a little bit of a bigger bed, because that's not a big issue. Even if you put dirt bikes in there, I've worked it out. So if you put your dirt bike in there, kink the wheel, all that, your front fender still just won't touch that wall. So I didn't need that extra bit there, and I wanted a bigger bed. So I think at the moment my bed is 1200 wide. So you can fit 2 people in there pretty comfy. The other thing is, I'm not sure 100% how tall I am, but I think I'm about 5'10". I can sleep sideways. I can fully stretch out. And even if I slide down the pillow a little bit, my feet hit the window, it's not a big deal. So I actually fit sideways, not a drama. If you're like a taller person, there's probably a little bit of a drama for you. It's sort of like a truck, like a prime mover setup. They're driving all day, they pull up, they've got a bed behind the seat. You know, you pull the curtains closed, you can sleep in there. It's kind of similar to that, because I've got the bench seat across the front. The middle seat folds down, and you can just crawl in the back if you don't want to have to get outside if it's pissing down with rain or something like that. Also, another thing that I did, which was actually an afterthought, so I had a wall going across here, and that was solid at the start. I glazed the window in there just so I could see out the back. You know, you can see the bikes while you're driving, because when you're driving, the roads get rough, stuff like that. You want to make sure your bikes haven't fallen over or anything like that, because it's happened to a lot of us. So later on I realized it'd be really nice if I could go from bed into the back and, you know, just get changed, sit in there. If there's no bikes in there, you know, that can be your living area. So I got the ripsaw out, literally just cut a big square out, big enough for me to get through. I put some hinges on it, and I put a couple of latches up the top here, just for it to, so you can clip it up against the ceiling and it will stay up there. And then there's latches at the bottom as well, so you can shut it. And I did that so you could shut it purely because if you've been out on the bike riding all arvo, whatever, it stinks like fuel, stinks like tire, because I always seem to do that. You don't want to be sleeping in there with fuel smell and tire smell. So that's really handy if you've been riding. You can shut that. I've done it before. You shut that, you can't smell anything. I put some door seal rubber in there, but the majority of the time I leave that open. It stays open all the time. So I can wake up in the morning, sit up, I can just climb into the back, get changed. I got a little table, everything like that, which we'll get to, but that's really handy. So the bed area, super simple. It's just a bit of It's actually a bit of 17mm non-structural form ply. I was going to put a what do you call it, like a divider post in there to hold the weight, but because it's probably sitting about 150, 200mm over there, and I've got a bit of timber running along here behind the seats, like that bit of form ply holds me and another person up, no dramas. Well, it hasn't snapped yet anyway, put it that way. Also with the sleeping area, because it does just go straight into the front, I do have a curtain. I have a curtain that pulls across there, so you can easily just shut that curtain, and it actually blocks out a lot of light. You can sleep in the morning and the sun will be up and you won't even realise. But I do have window covers, which I'll get to soon as well, that are magnetic, so I can cover literally every window in the whole van, and they've got 5 layers of insulation, block out all the light. They actually block out a lot of the heat as well. So I can magnet them in everywhere and then open these curtains up all the way, and it feels like you're in a bigger, it feels like you're in a bigger area, if you will. You could put the driver's seat down a little bit as well, have a little bit more space, if your elbows are sticking out while you sleep or something like that. When I built the van, so how I started was I plied all the floor. So I did a layer of ply down the whole thing. I could probably attach a photo in here. So I did Sikaflex on all the ribs, because when I got the van, it was empty. There was nothing in there. There was a wall, a divider behind the seats. So I actually pulled it out. I traced a line to make it match up with the plastic in here, and I cut it with a grinder so I could keep these side bits, because I did get told by the guy at the dealership that if you take that off, these side airbags, if you get into a crash, they won't deploy. So I wanted to keep them there just in case something like that happens. So the airbags should still work. So I just chopped them so you can't see like in behind the plastics or nothing like that. It doesn't look too ugly. And it actually works as it's steel. So I magnet my curtain to that so that it stays out of the way. But when you drive with the windows down, because it's not a very thick curtain, it does go everywhere, which is not ideal. So yeah, started by applying all the floor. I use Sikaflex so that nothing's ever going to come loose. If a screw comes out, the Sikaflex is going to hold it. It's going to hold it forever, hopefully. So floor, and then I did the walls. So when I did the walls, I used house insulation, so house wool, and I stuffed it everywhere I could, all around the walls to insulate it. And then when I did the ceiling, I did the same thing. So that was actually really difficult to do by myself as well. I used tape to hold all the insulation up there, and then I put the sheet up. And when you cut the sheets, you've got to these things aren't square, so you've got to cut them around, lots of curves and stuff like that. So yeah, it's all insulated. I ran my wiring first. Obviously I've got a downlight in the back, which in hindsight, one's not enough. It would be nice to have another one, or maybe an LED strip that just lights everything up a little bit better. I don't have one in the bedroom. I was planning on putting one there, but it's so close to where you sleep. I just thought, you turn that thing on, it's just in your eyes, so I don't really like it. I've got a LED strip that runs up and down the sides there, so you can turn that on for light, you change the colors, all that sort of stuff. But I do have this little magnetic light here that I use now, so it's just clips on there. You hit the button twice, it's bright as, lights the whole thing up. And then when you're camping, you can pull that out, sit on the outside, and light up the whole area. It's good as. So the whole thing's insulated, which works really well for sound as well as the heat. It's when you're sleeping in there, it's dead quiet. You can't hear anything. I actually camped with a workmate a couple of weeks ago, and he was in his tent, and the cicadas or the crickets or something were going crazy, and he couldn't sleep, and I literally couldn't hear a thing in the van. So yeah, it's nice. And I've camped in it in the middle of winter. It's been -3, and it gets a little bit cold, but not too crazy. So I got a little electric blanket and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll have a quick look in the back now. The back of the van is pretty basic. You can sort of see the checker plate along the front there where the wheels go. That's stepped in, and then comes up 90-degree angle, comes out 150, 200mm, runs up to the top again. So I actually ran a lot of wiring in that spot there, and as you can see, I've 45'd another bit of ply to cover all that, and then covered it with carpet so that it looks neat, everything like that. So the wheel sits just under there. It's pretty good. Another afterthought I did, well, I sort of planned to do it all along, but it happened down the track. I actually spent about a whole year building this after work. So I put shelves in either side up the top there. One runs all the way to the end, the other one doesn't. It was actually a spot to hang helmets, and the tie down mount, or the tie down point on the wall runs up there. So they're pretty handy. They just got some clothes in there, I got a bit of cooking stuff like that, just to keep stuff out of the way. I got my ramp stuck to the wall because it just keeps that out of the way, because those things take up space. Pretty much anything on the floor just takes up so much space, and you spend like one night in here, you throw some clothes on the ground, you throw some shoes on the ground, and they just build up so quick. And then, yeah, so microwave up the front there, which I'll go over the 12 volt stuff soon. You'll probably see the stay low light at the front there. If you've ever been around this van, you've probably heard me talk about that. I got off Temu for 40 bucks and I'm stoked with it. So that adds a pretty cool little effect there. I've got the downlight there, so as you can see, it's not crazy bright, but it's enough. It's not ideal when you're standing in the middle and you're trying to get changed or something like that, because you block all the light. So I actually use that other magnetic light I've got and stick it to one of the back doors here, and then that throws light all the way through, and you know, you're laughing. Another thing that I've done is this table on the side here. It actually folds down and folds up with some brackets that I got off Amazon, and it's just a bit of timber from Bunnings. So when there's no bike in there, you can easily fold that up. You can sit there with your little camp chair, eat your food. I also used it at a filming event where I sat my laptop on there and everything like that, and had all my camera gear on there, and it was super handy. That's good. Another thing I've got is this. I think it's on tap, so it's a 20 litre jerry can full of water. It's got a 12 volt pump in it that you just plug straight into your cigarette lighter output, and it's got just a hose, so you can just put that up anywhere where you want it to go. Probably preferably on this, let's say on this side, because that side my little thing snapped off. Set that up there, turn it on, bang, you got a shower. You know, it's not no bloody crazy shower with a thing coming down, but yeah, it's handy enough. But I mainly use this I use that for like cleaning dishes, brush my teeth, anytime like that where you need some water. This is pretty standard stuff. So I got a little thing there to hang my towel on. I've got this came off Temu, it's a laundry bag. Throw all my dirty laundry in there whenever I'm at someone's house, laundromat, whatever. Take that in, do the washing. Makes life a bit easier. Keeps things out of a bag, just keeps it up, keeps it out of the way. The window covers I've got, they're actually magnetic. They just clip into the window like that. They're black on the outside, so they're stealth. They don't look like anything from outside. Apparently they have 5 layers of insulation in there, which I believe, because they keep all the heat out, all the light out. They're easy as to put in. No one can see you got bikes in there. If you want to drive and you want to see out the back windows, you can just fold them down like that, which is super handy. So I really like those. I've got them for every window except for the right hand back window, because I couldn't find one for that. So I actually got a bit of black core flute and put it in there just so it doesn't let any light in and stuff like that. You can feel the heat coming through that one, but I'll take the other 7 windows or whatever, and you know, we'll lose one there. We'll take an L. The 12 volt system. I'm not a Sparky, I'm a chippy by trade. I wired this whole thing up by myself with a lot of phone calls to my little brother and a couple of mates, which they were probably annoyed of it by the end, but they helped me out of heaps, and I learned a lot along the journey. So that's how I started, and I started with a 120 amp hour lithium battery. I've got 170 watt solar panel on the roof. So that was how I started off, and since then I have altered it a little bit. So now I've got 2 120 amp hour lithium batteries running in parallel, and I've got a 20 amp DC charger, which in hindsight it's probably not enough, but I managed to get through most of the time. So 2 wires coming straight off the main battery into the DC, and then the solar panel, same thing. I've got that runs 2 cables come off the solar, that converts into an Anderson plug at this end, and that plugs into the DC as well. So it's literally as easy as that. There's wires that come out of the DC, they go to the 2 batteries. The batteries are in parallel, beautiful. And then the box that I started with had a fuse block on it, so I ran all my other stuff off that. So off the fuse block, I've got downlight at the back running, I've got another floodlight at the back, I've got this fan here, just a 12 volt fan. It's just enough, you know, if on a hot summer's night, because it's all insulated, it's pretty good if you just let all the heat out of the doors when you first come in. You know, you lay under that, it blows a bit of air on you, it's not too bad. If it's real hot, you can start the car, you can run the AC from the car, it's not the end of the world. I've got two cigarette lighter style points above the bed, and then I've got 2 normal USBs, and I've got a USB-C and a USB on the same one. So I can charge my phone, I can charge my laptop, everything like that. I've got 130 watt cigarette lighter point that I can charge my laptop straight off of that. And then down below I've got a light down here as well. Yeah, so that's the basics of my power. I've actually ran an inverter as well, so I never was planning on getting an inverter. I was planning on just having everything off 12 volt that I could possibly do, like, so I can even charge my laptop off it. But I decided at one point when I decided to go and travel and sort of live out of the van that I wanted a microwave, just because it's ever raining or something like that. A microwave's super handy. You can cook some rice, microwave meals, stuff like that. So I got a 2000 watt inverter, and that runs off my batteries, and then I actually put a power point in the back of the van that's below the microwave. So I'm not a Sparky, but I got an extension lead from Bunnings, plugged it into the inverter, chopped the other end of it. Well, I obviously didn't chop it while I was in the inverter, but chopped that, had my 3 wires, wired that into the back of a power point. You turn the inverter on, the power point works, plug the microwave in, whatever. You can run your shaver off it, charge batteries if I've got all my other points are full, everything like that. So yeah, the whole battery system is pretty basic. You just, as long as there's fuses, stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not a Sparky, but that's how I set this up. You'll see the videos, and there's a bit of a bird's nest down there. There's wires going everywhere, but it works, and it's worked so far. So I will say the 20 amp DC-DC, when you're driving it pumps a bit more than 20, but if you're charging laptops, if you're charging laptops, charging camera batteries, drone batteries, charging your phone, also the fridge, didn't touch on the fridge. I got a 95 litre Dometic, so dual zone, which is really good. It fits heaps in it. I've got the back one set at -2, that's my beer fridge, and then the front one, I think it's set on like 1 or 2 or something, that's my food fridge. So that actually draws a bit of power. It draws like 5 to 6 amps per hour, but obviously doesn't run all the time. But I will say the other day I set the back to a freezer. I had it on -18 or 19, and it ran pretty much all day, and it did drain a shitload of my power. But the 170 watt solar panel max will put in like 10 to 11 amps an hour, which isn't heaps. So I think in future I would probably run 2 of those side by side up there, and I'd run either a 25 amp DC-DC or a 40 amp, just so when you're not driving a long distance, you can just get all your charge back straight away, and it won't be a drama. Because I'll go to video jobs and I'll be charging my laptop, I'll be charging drones, FPVs, phones, bloody you name it, I'll be charging it, and it will drain a fair bit of power. But when I decided to get an inverter, I only had one 120 amp hour lithium battery, and the continuous draw on my microwave was 101 amps per hour. And obviously you're only running a microwave for 2 to 3 minutes, but my continuous draw on my 120 amp hour lithium battery was only 100, which I didn't know when I purchased that. I didn't really know about all that stuff. So that's why I got another one. So now I've got 200 amps of continuous draw, and if I run my microwave at 101, it's not an issue. I don't think. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there, but so far so good, nothing's blown up. So I haven't done too much to the outside of the van. The first thing I did was obviously the solar panel. That was literally one of the first things I did. I did that before I put the ply in, because you just have to, you've got to cut a hole in the roof, all that stuff. Next thing was the awning. So it's a Fiamma F80S, which is like a caravan awning. It's a wind out awning. I'll wind that out now and for a little demo, but it's really good. It's super easy to set up by yourself. Just is a little winding handle that I've clipped in behind the seats, and then it winds out, sits down. It's got some ropes to tie off, but I can't remember where I put them. But I will say, like probably most awnings, it's not the best in the wind. Last night I stayed at Seduna, and it was pretty windy when I went to bed, so I sort of wound it in a little bit, so I was about halfway, and I woke up in the morning and it was just like carrying on. Things sounded like it was going to snap in half, so I put it away. Not the best in the wind, but it does look neat, and yeah, serves a purpose. If it's raining, it's sick, you can just chill in the bed, whatever, you don't get wet, it's not a drama. The next thing I did to the outside was obviously the sign writing too. I touched on the sign writing, so sponsors that have helped me out along the way, they've donated a bit of money for fuel and everything like that, so yeah, obviously thank you to those guys. The next thing was the wheels. So it just had like stockies, silver stockies with road tires on there. Looked shit house, and I always wanted to do all terrains with some nice wheels, so I eventually got these. They're Elite. I can't remember what the wheel's called, but the brand is Elite, and the tires are Falcon Wild Peak AT3. I actually put a hole in one a little while ago by accident. I hit a log, and it was about 380 bucks for a new one, which was not ideal. But yeah, it looks sick now. Looks really good, I think. The tires are cool. I've actually taken it full driving a couple of times, not really on purpose, but I went into some spots where I probably should have got bogged and I didn't. It's a way nicer drive now with those as well, but I will say I have lost a lot of fuel economy. So if you're ever looking at getting a van and want some cool all-terrains on there, you will lose fuel economy. And I really noticed it driving across the desert too. Last time I did this drive, I was getting 800-900 k's to a tank, and now I'm like pushing to get 600, which is not ideal, but also, yeah, smoother ride, doesn't get bogged, stuff like that. So it is handy and it looks cool. I've been taking a lot of photos and stuff out in the desert and parked up places, so yeah, I'm not too worried about the fuel economy. It's a couple of bucks at the end of the day. So I am planning on getting another van at some point. I wanted to drive this one till maybe 100,000 k's, something like that, so it's still got a decent enough resale value. It's still a good van. Get rid of it and get a fresh one and maybe start again, do things a little bit different. I've done probably just over 40,000 k's on this now. Has not missed a beat. It's literally been perfect. Everything works the same as it was when it was brand new. It's only a year and a half old in saying that, but on the next one, I would like to get the 4Motion model, so the all-wheel drive with the diff lock, just so you can take it down the beach, stuff like that. You're not going to get it bogged as easy. Resale value is also another thing, because they're definitely not as common as these, because people just buy these as work vans or whatever, but they're not really buying full drive ones as work vans. I would also get the high roof. I decided. I always thought I liked the low roof better. The low roofs I think probably look better, and they're probably not as bad on fuel and whatever. You can go through the KFC drive-through in a random place, but it would be really nice to be able to stand up in the back just fully. So I can stand up, with my head tilted a little bit, which is not the end of the world, but it would be nice to be able to stand up, and probably have bigger cupboards at the back as well. So just a bit more storage. Another thing I would like to do is to get the single front seats. So not the bench seat, just the driver's seat, passenger seat, because the passenger seat on the bench seat is actually not adjustable. So it's stuck like that, which is not too bad for me because I'm driving, but if I got a passenger, they get a bit annoyed that they can't move it around. And I would also like to get the seats that spin, even if it's just one, but if you could spin the seat around and then you could sit it on the bed somehow, so you could use that as like another little workbench, that would be pretty cool. And you could also stand up in the front there in the middle. You'd have enough headroom, I think, maybe, unless they have a shelf, I'm not too sure. And yeah, I would also put in more lights. Like, I do more wiring at the start. I wouldn't be in a rush as much on the next one as I was with this. So I'd put a few more lights in, more switches, a lot more points. The 12 volt system, I touched on that before, but I would change that too. So I would I'm pretty happy with the batteries that I've got. Like 240 amp hours of lithium is a fair bit for what I'm doing, but I would definitely run 2 solar panels, and I would run them long ways side by side. And then I would, run a bigger DC-DC charger for the batteries, and yeah, nothing too crazy. Apart from that, it's honestly been really good. So always wanted a van. I got a van as a work car a few years back, and I fit my Harley in there, and I used to take it around places, and just thought, this is the best thing ever. Like, imagine if you could put a bed and everything in it as well. And I eventually bought this. I just one day went, fuck it, I want a van, I want to set one up. And I had a couple of mates that had similar vans. So one of my mates, Jep, he had a very similar setup to this. So I molded this a lot to how he built his. And I just changed a few little things here and there, but he helped me out a lot with this. And since then, he's actually built another one, gone a completely different direction with it. But I'm still happy with this. I haven't lived properly in a house for 4 months now, I think. 4 maybe longer than 4 months actually. But I've been working and I've been staying in a hotel for work, and then on days off I've been either camping or I've been staying at people's houses. But the last 2 weeks I've been in the van almost every night, and I've got a gas cooker, I've got a fridge, I've got the awning, I got just little stuff like mozzie, little candles you burn to keep the mozzies away and stuff like that. Not leaving lights on at night time because little things go crazy and get in. I've got the on tap washer at the back to wash my dishes. I've got paper towel, everything like that. It's been good. It's been a learning curve to set it up. It's definitely not the type of van that most van life people do, where they've got a kitchen sink in there, they've got a table, they've got their bed that turns into a couch. They take the whole family along, and if they pull up somewhere, they don't have to get out of the van. They're just chilling in the back, whatever. This is not really like that. It's definitely a moto van. It's a moto van with a bed in it. But it's cool because it forces you to be outside as well, because you can't really cook in there. You can cook maybe on the bike or something, but it'd be a pain in the ass. So it forces you to be outside, be in nature, and yeah, it's cool. And I've had a lot of compliments on it as well, which is really nice. And one other thing I didn't touch on was I carpeted the whole thing myself. So it was just ply, and I wanted it to be, I wanted it to be like an old school moto sort of vibe. I didn't want to have like timber boards and like the whole beachy bright look that most van people will do. I just carpeted everything, put some lights in there, and yeah, it's cozy. I feel like the carpet definitely helps keep the noise down too, I think. But all in all, I think I've covered pretty much everything that I can think of now. If anyone has any questions on how I did anything or why I did a certain thing or anything like that, feel free to hit me up. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. But yeah, this is my van. It's my moto van that I'm practically living out of at the moment. And yeah, she serves me well. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, this is different to what I normally do. Usually I'm doing burnouts and wheelies and carrying on. If you want to see more travel content, stuff like this, definitely drop a comment, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff, whatever you reckon. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.